Miami is that. It's just a bunch of options of whatever you want it to be. And that, I do think, honestly, that is one of Miami's biggest traits. It will be whatever you want it to be. I will definitely trademark that, just on record. It'll be whatever you want it to be.
And we're live. Welcome to the Damn Good Day Show. I'm here with Daniel Ruiz Arab, my man, Miami's greatest. How are you?
That's a very kind introduction. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm excited. I'm excited how we first met. I thought it was a very authentic way to meet. I had one of the greatest steak and eggs brunch at BBistro. And we met, but I didn't really make the connection at that time.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. It was a true, authentic, like, hi, how are you? You know, just being kind to each other and whatnot. And we really didn't honestly know who we were.
Well, I was with my buddy Austin. Austin Keene, for anyone knows. He's awesome skimboarder, even better human. And me and Austin met at this YouTube conference probably like 2 years ago. Okay. And he had happened to be in town. So we said, I need a great brunch spot. So I hit up my friend Alicia. I said, Alicia, what's their favorite brunch spots in Brickell? Alicia said BBistro. Yep. And then we get there and then the rest is history.
Yeah. We took it from there.
And then that's how good people meet. And what's cool about it is that Alicia is actually technically who introduced us through Instagram, yes. But we met authentically in person. I just didn't put two and two together.
Neither did I at that moment. I was just, so I don't run BBistro's Instagram page, but I do check it, regularly to kind of, to see how it's going. And I just see this, that we were tagged, it pops up in the DMs, right? When someone tags you. So I was like, who is this? So I click in and it's like this Ian guy that has, like a few thousand followers, like very cool and like nice vibe and whatnot. And then I check who you're with just out of curiosity, it's like people do that. I'm one of those. And turns out that you're with this like super famous like wakeboarder that has like, I don't know, what, like 400,000 followers. And I was like, this is great for the restaurant. And I think even before anything, just when I saw who you were through Instagram, I just added you like immediately and started scrolling through your Instagram. And that's when I think I sent you a text or a DM saying, dude, like, thank you for coming and for supporting. It was just like genuine, authentic thank you. And I didn't do that from the restaurants page. I did it from my personal. And you were like, absolutely and whatnot. So I think it was like meant to happen for us to cross paths.
And
somehow.
It's cool when people are just like naturally stoked on life, and that's what you are. You're oozing with stoke. You're so just happy and passionate about what you do, and you can see it in everyone that works at that restaurant, and you can see it as you're building and scaling and helping people build and scale their own restaurants, which we're going to talk about. But it's exciting. You've lived in Miami now for how long?
So I have a story that's a little bit more common than what people think in Miami. So I was born here and lived here till I was like around 7-8 years old, and then moved back to Bolivia, which is where my family's from.
So you're OG from Bolivia? Born?
No. So born here, raised there.
Got it.
And I was in Bolivia from about 8 years old to 25-ish. And then it was time to really focus on professional growth and whatnot, and that's a different topic, but it's much more difficult to do it there than here. I've always known what I loved. I'm, as you said, and it's true, I'm like ridiculously passionate about like literally everything that I do. So I came back and got into my thing, which is restaurants and food, and yeah, that's kind of how I landed in Miami, and I've been here for the past 7 years now. But yes, I am a rare breed of Miami-born citizens.
Well, and I'm obsessed with Miami. I moved here. This is typically for anyone that follows the Jones and knows my life. I tend to move a lot. I get cold feet and I want to move. And every 6 months to a year, I just try something new. I was in a part about, I don't know, 3-4 months ago when I was thinking like I hit like my around 6 months in Miami. I'm like, I think I need to make a move. And I said, no, man, you need to settle down and pick a city and then learn it and run it and meet people. And that's what I did. You know, I'm working on closing on a house right now and doing a lot of exciting stuff. And I feel like I'm excited to kind of plant my flag and meet amazing people and just get to know everyone, because like when you have a neighborhood of people that you know, it makes the whole community feel so much better.
Well,
right?
ultimately that's community, right? That's it. It's just a bunch of neighbors that kind of might think alike and kind of, you know what they want as individuals and have the same love for where they are. And based on that and certain common values is, you know, the establishment of a community. And there's a lot of people that are doing that in Miami right now, and it only makes sense. It's such a great city. Regardless of like different political views, we have, I think, good leadership in the state, in the county, and in the city. And mind you, that both like state, county, and city, you have like Republicans and Democrats in between. Like county mayor's Democrat, you know, city mayor kind of Republican, whatnot. But everyone is kind of like on the same train. Everyone kind of has like the same vision. And I think right now we're at a point where you walk into Miami and you just feel the energy. And everyone's like, dude, we're amazing. And it's like, yes, we are. It's like, do we have faults? It's like, absolutely, like every single city in the world. But it is such a cool city. It's so vibrant. It is so young. I mean, in spirit, right? I feel like if Miami would be a city, it would probably have my attitude, like, let's go. You know,
I love the melting pot feature. I love that there's like 50 shades of caramel of different, you know,
of everything,
everybody and everything and all the different food. And it's how do you not be very much into it? And then the water life and
the water, dude, just being by the water is it gives at least me this sense of peace and calmness throughout the frenzy of a big city. And there's also, because of the shutdowns and lockdowns and all that, we know a lot of people are moving from up north, particularly New York. And I just think that's only going to make us better, because I don't think it's news to anyone that obviously New York, because of its history, has like very demanding taste. And that's helping us in Miami also elevate the standards of our service in the hospitality industry. So it is making us better. And then until very recently, Miami was also kind of like undermined or looked downwards by other bigger cities because of the lack of variety that we had in the city culinary scene, right? And everyone's like, yeah, you can get like Cuban food and like that's about it.
Shout out Cubanos,
which I love, by the way. But they're not wrong. Like it used to be that until a few years back. But then you have amazing chefs like who I work for, which is Chef Henry Hain from BBistro. That's really bringing in like different flavors and concepts and it has like this great creative mind that we put in the middle of Brickell, right? And with a very non-traditional menu, and it's like blows up. And obviously BBistro, that's like 5 years out, but then you see other places and other chefs like Chef Brad Kilgore from Alter, right? They come up with this like super like high-end upscale molecular like concept cuisine, and it's closed now still because of everything that's going on, but you would have to reserve weeks in advance to get into there. And then now you have like Cote in Miami, Design District, and then you have like all these, you know, major food group and the Groot Hospitality opening up these all other concepts. It's like, and all this is happening now, like in the past literally like 2.5-3 years, which is crazy.
Well, I don't want this to become an entire, but it probably is an entire ad to move to Miami. But
why not?
Number one,
everyone should come.
Moving from California, I loved California. I loved my time there during COVID. I thought California got really lame personally. I just didn't enjoy it at that time. So moving here, number one, saving 10% on taxes does not suck. Does not suck. Standard of living, much higher. For me, there's only two places I would live. It's California or Florida, right? Because I love weather. I love the warm weather, the beautifulness, water, scuba diving. Like I want to live like that. I grew up in the Northeast. I grew up in New York. I put my time in. You know, I got my salt all up in my car. It ruined my stuff enough. You know, I loved that, but I also just like the opportunity. Like Miami, I think is painted right now as like a complete party town. And like, you know, it's crazy. You come here and rage. And yes, South Beach is completely like that at some degree. But I've also seen a whole different side of it. And a lot of that comes from what I've seen with the tech boom from San Francisco moving in and all these different businesses moving in. I think Wynwood's going to become like the next tech capital of the world. Mayor Suarez just crushing it. Bringing the NASDAQ in, I just saw recently.
That was yesterday.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think you just hit something that's super interesting and is another of the million. We should do a show called A Million Reasons to Love Miami. But this is like one of the other reasons is that there's a lot of people from out of town that come, some friends of mine that live, you know, abroad or in other states. And they're like, nah, Miami's kind of like not for me. I was like, whoa, calm down. Like,
take it easy,
bro. You
bro.
don't know Miami. Because if you would, you want to stay. Because Miami has this particular distribution where the question to ask to Miami is, what do you like? What do you want? Right? If you're like into like the more bohemian, you know, street art type of thing, you have like Wynwood, right? If you're more into the tech financial area, kind of like want to be like a little mini Manhattan type of thing, you have like Brickell and downtown is turning very much into that. Obviously, if you're more into the water, you have like Miami Beach. If you want more of like a family oriented, a little bit more calm, cool, collected, you have like Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, right? And as you look throughout the city, it just has space for everyone and everyone's welcome here. You just have to know where you're looking and you'll fit right in.
And then you have to decide what you want too, because like I don't party that much anymore, and like you don't have to. Like most people think that they move here, I'm just going to party all the time. Like first off, when you get a little bit older, you're not going to want to do that. You know,
that'll pass quickly.
Just one or two bad hangovers at 28 plus, and you're done. Goodbye. See ya.
But you see, I mean, that's just the cool thing of Miami. If you want to move to party because you know you can. You have that too.
It's nice having the option.
And Miami is that. It's just a bunch of options of whatever you want it to be. And that I do think, honestly, that is one of Miami's biggest traits. It will be whatever you want it to be. I will definitely trademark that just on record. It'll be whatever you want it to be.
You started the Miami Times, which is a pretty poppin' gram.
It is. So I didn't start it. It was my cousin Pedro. Hi Pedro, hello. He'll definitely be watching. And he's like, your pose was incorrect. I was like, shut up. So he started it a few years back, got really, really popular. I would venture to say that he was definitely not the first, but one of the first to kind of expose Miami's like culinary night scene a few years back before Instagram was like that big of
he was a first mover in the space of branding.
He loves the city, also raised here. And the idea with Miami Times, so I'm deviating. Let's go in order. So he's the one that created it. He wanted to capitalize. And that's kind of when I came in, because that's kind of my thing. Like I know how to run a business and how to like make it grow and make money off of it. And he's like, do you want to be my partner? Because he's really good with these things like pictures and videos and concepts and ideas. And I was like, and I suck at that, but I'm good at this other part. So we'll make a great team. And obviously it just made sense. Not only he's my family and I love the guy, but he's also very talented. He was kind of a pioneer in branding Miami and turning it into a thing. and he was just missing that one little part where I jumped in, and of course I want to be part of anything that, you know, showcases Miami and its nightlife and its hospitality and its food, and it's more than that, because if you go through Miami Times Instagram, you'll see pictures of Miami, right? Of like the city and the beaches. So we kind of like connect all the dots of Miami and everything that it has to offer in this one little gram page.
I love that you do these things, and I think everybody should, even if they're trying to just build a page or not, they should go out and venture out, because I feel like this forces you to go explore. It forces you to find the new spots.
Absolutely.
It forces you to invest time into explaining what it is, because sometimes the best way to do like a good book review is to read the book, right?
Yes.
So you have to be able to go to these places,
Yes.
get the vibe, and then create it. And it's a beautiful page. I mean, he did an amazing job, and it's only getting bigger.
It is only getting bigger, and hopefully, you know, it'll continue to grow. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And the cool thing is yes, you do have to go out and explore, and just like you said, the best review will come from the one who wrote it. And it's great to expose that to everyone. But ultimately, it just makes you fall in love more, you know, because you're the one out there. I mean, you can try and show whatever you want to try and show, but you're there and you're living it. And you know, it's like everything we do just connects us more to this beautiful, amazing city.
I mean, it's like, just for taking that concept out, podcasting. People say, why do I podcast? I podcast for this moment when I'm sitting here and I'm in the moment with it. Like, I selfishly podcast because I love doing it. It's so much fun, right? And a side effect
and that's
is
the door to everything.
Right.
Like, nothing huge has ever been built truly without passion, right? And I foresee, you know, great success with what you're doing. And I think you're going to be a kick-ass podcaster. And, you know, it's like, you've been doing this for a minute, but it takes time, like everything that's good. And you have to invest time. But ultimately, drive comes from passion. And the great people of the world, you will not tell me that the great people of the world weren't passionate about what they were doing.
Right.
And that's us with Miami. We're just like so passionate about it. We want to make it, you know, greater than what it is and make it better. And same with you with your podcast.
Well, what I really want to do is I want to become like, I love connecting people. And I'm like really fired up to, over the next year, focus my guest list on entrepreneurs around here, because I want to really meet people in this area. Because I want to know the neighbors, man. Yeah. You know, I got this house because
your neighbors.
I want to know the neighbors. Amen. I want to have barbecues. You know, I want to bring the people over for the barbecue.
Yeah.
Nothing's better than a great barbecue, in my opinion.
You do not have to tell me that twice. Like, literally, because I'm in the like food industry and the hospitality. It was like, what's your favorite food? And everyone thinks I'm going to say like escargot and this and that. And it's like, no, it's like steak on the grill. Like, nothing beats that. And particularly for me, because I'm South American, like descent, for us, that's almost a religion. You know, it's a cultural thing. It's like, we start grilling when we're like, our parents would put us on the grill with them, our dads, when we were like 6 years old.
Well, I remember I went to like this Brazilian party when I was a long time ago, and it was crazy. Yeah. It was absolutely out of control.
No. Take it to another level in South America.
Like, you'd think like young kids would be crazy, but no, the parents were just as crazy as everyone else. Like, it was nuts.
Yeah, it's literally almost like a religion.
Just so fun. And like that's what I love about Latin American culture. I love that you can go and eat dinner, and while you're eating dinner, and maybe this is just how I was born, while you're eating dinner, you're playing music, and it's like it's dancing and it's fun, and it's like, I love that. It's just a vibe. It's a vibe.
It's straight up a vibe. And that's, I think, potentially this is Latin America's, or Latin Americans' greatest quality and trait. It's just, in general, it's just a lot of happy people that are doing that, just listening to music and dancing and this and that. And, you know, if you grab that concept, you can easily marry it to why Miami is also Miami, because it is undeniably, you know, Latin American DNA in this city from so many years back. So that's what you get in the street, is that just like what in Spanish we call buena onda, and buena onda just means like the cool vibes, right? And that's Miami wherever you go. Like you can be like on A Street, and you can be in, North Beach, you can be in Doral, and everyone's just like, like
People are vibing. People
they
are
have, like,
happy.
smile on their face, because at the end of the day, you'll go home in this really cool city, and dude, there's so many people in so many other places that are great, but they just might not see it. And this,
well, I've only had
city,
one friend visit who just wasn't into it. My buddy Dan, shout out Dan Hunt. He's like, listen, I love Miami.
Bring him to me.
But he loves New York City. He just loves it. He's deep in it. He's deep in that culture, and he throws amazing parties, and he's got a great scene out there.
Yeah.
But he does see the potential, especially Wynwood. He thinks Wynwood's going to become the next massive thing.
I think so too. I think it'll be part of the massive thing, which is the entire city. But
which is the entire city.
But it's a fundamental component to it.
Amen. One thing I'm really excited to touch about is, like you mentioned before when you teamed up with Pedro, that you have this business savviness that, say, Pedro did not, or right. Like your complement is taking a business, making it profitable, figuring out how to actually make money doing something, right? And you fell in love with these restaurants, and you're helping businesses and entrepreneurs scale up these restaurants. You have your own company called Zero Hospitality. Is that how?
Hero
Hospitality. Hero. How'd you come up with that name?
Because I was literally trying to be a hero for them, like 2 and 2, just like, simple. But yeah, that really came out as, so there's very few industries, I think, that suffered as much as restaurants during the shutdowns and this whole pandemic thing, which, by the way, has been over in Miami for a very long time. But there was a lot of restaurants that were struggling, and I just felt that, and I really mean this in the most humble, I never want to sound like I know everything, because I honestly genuinely feel that I don't. And proof of that is that even today, at my age, in my position, I'm still like taking classes online to learn new stuff. If you go to my house, I have like 400 books, like literally throughout the house, that I'm like still reading, and super basic things, because I'm just like, I never feel that I know enough. So that leads for me to ultimately know something, right? And that little tiny bit that I may know about restaurants, and how to operate them properly, I thought maybe I could put this to to service to other places that are really like struggling and just might need a hand. So that's when I created Hero Hospitality, and very quickly I found like a customer. It's like a couple that they wanted to do their first restaurant venture, and I like helped them out. It's called Rose Cafe. Look them up on Instagram. We came up with this very cool concept. I was lucky enough to work with these people that she, in particular, it was a couple, knew exactly what she wanted as a concept, right? Like healthy and yummy and this and that. So I was like, I would absolutely love to help you. So I did. And, long story short, almost a year passed by, but it's now open. It's working very well. It's a beautiful place. Another place that's quite known now in Miami is like the people from Hachidori Ramen in Little River. I was less involved there, but it was kind of like the same thing. It was a couple, and they wanted to start their own restaurant and whatnot. And Jessica came to me, and she's like, "Can you just like guide me?" It's like, I'm really not sure of what to do. And I was like, "Come here, sit down. Like, I'll help you out." So I just like pointed them in the right direction of like, this is kind of how the process works, and this is what you have to be careful with. And they ended up coming up with a really cool, successful concept today. And it sometimes that's just all you need, right? You don't need this whole like gigantic know-how and how things work. Sometimes you just need a little bit of guidance. And I think I can provide sometimes a little bit of guidance. And now it's been 6 different places or restaurants that I've kind of helped guide a little bit.
And that you're way too humble on yourself.
And, I just, people then is like, oh, he thinks he knows everything. It's like, I literally think I know nothing.
No, in this world, if you go out and you read 10 books on a subject, that already will equip you more than most people know on that subject.
Yeah.
And everyone should feel empowered to know that they can become an expert on this. You've done it, you've been in the field, and you teach people. My question is, what are some of the biggest challenges of why businesses, specifically restaurants, fail? What's the number one reason people fail in the restaurant industry?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Oh my God, I don't know how to lie. I'm going to have to give you my honest answer. People confuse restaurants with the ability to cook. And it's obviously important, but you can have a really bad product and really bad service and still be profitable. If you don't believe me, you can ask like Subway. I don't like Subway. I don't have anything against them. I just don't think they have a great product. And I can't remember last time I walked into a Subway that I had good service. So let's say not great product, not great service. It is literally the biggest restaurant group on the planet. They have like 50,000 locations. They know their numbers. And that's Hero Hospitality slogan. It's like, know your numbers.
Know your numbers. So
I think there's a lot of subjectivity that goes into the restaurant world. And it's like, oh, you see restaurants that are packed. And from one day to another, just like closed.
So you're saying it's not the actual food itself, and it's also not the amazing service. It's the what is the X factors that you think?
Financials.
Financials.
Know your numbers. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know where your money's coming from. You have to know where it's going. And if you don't know that, you don't know anything. Or you might know something about these other worlds, right? The service world or the food world, like being an actual chef or, a maitre d' and this and that. But ultimately, like any business, it comes down to the numbers. I've seen wonderful restaurants just like packed, lines at the door, and just like shut down the next day because like what happened? I don't know if that's ever happened to you where you see like this restaurant's like kind of busy, like seems like they've been there for a minute and then just like disappear. And that's because they're not managing their financials properly. And ultimately, if you want to have big difference, here it is. You can have a good restaurant, but it could be a terrible business.
Mm. Expand on that.
Or you can have a bad restaurant, bad food, bad service, and it could be a great business. Does that make sense?
Got it. And if you get them both, then it's an absolutely
exactly.
Amazing.
And ultimate, if you're like me, I pursue excellence on persistent basis. Like that's my biggest thing. I'm more passionate about excellence than I'm on any other subject.
So excellence in the sense of like for the line cook to be amazing
everything.
At what he does.
I mean everything in my life. Like I want the cooks to do their part, to show up on time, like wearing their uniform.
Feel proud of themselves. Yeah.
Because, look good, you feel
good. Look
good.
Feel good. Yeah.
And I want like the servers to do an excellent, but it's not just on them. Like it's on me too.
Right. To lead and
primarily
show.
On me. I can't demand anything that I'm not willing to do.
So you see a lot of these restaurants fail because they don't have leadership too.
Well, yeah. Oh, I mean, it's a combination, right? It's no different from any other business. I think the biggest thing with restaurants is people think that it's like this glamorous lifestyle. Well, like, ooh, I have this restaurant or I manage that restaurant. And it's like, ooh, he has restaurants or he managed, right? There's this like je ne sais quoi that surrounds restaurants.
Right.
And it's not like that. It's very much not like that. Like today, I operate BBistro. Like I'm the director of operations for them, but where is it? Here, can you see that in camera?
Yeah, you got this nasty scar.
Yeah, and that's like from the pans in the kitchen because I was like literally like walking into the kitchen, making sure like everything was, working and they needed some help. So I jumped in, burned myself. I'm okay with that. Right? It's like, and then I told you earlier today, we started construction for our second location. So if you look down at my pants, it's like dusty and this.
Well,
and
you're
that.
willing to get in the trenches and show people because
you must.
Because you're passionate about each aspect. Because to me, restaurants are confusing. It's like you have all this product, and that product literally has a shelf life.
Yeah.
Where if you don't use it, you literally just lose it, and that's so much different than many different retail sites.
Well, yeah, and that brings me back to my first point, which is you have to know your numbers. Like, what are you buying? How much are you supposed to sell? Like
How much experience comes in when it comes to the supply that you get? Is there like just a few big vendors that supply everybody? Or how much sourcing comes in when it comes to a successful restaurant?
I guess that varies widely depending on the type of restaurant. You have restaurants that are like medium, like successful restaurants that have 150, 200 seats that have like 20 suppliers. And then you have a restaurant like McDonald's that has 2, right? It's like Cisco and one more, that's whatever their own supplier is. And in the case for BBistro, we have 4 or 5. So it really varies because we talk of the restaurant industry like in a very broad aspect, but I would think, again, like any other business, like the more you get into it, you start seeing differences, right? You can't compare like a high-end steakhouse like Smith & Wollensky or Ruth Christie's with Dunkin' Donuts, right? It's like
they're just 2 different businesses.
Completely. So most of these things, like the one thing in common that all of them have is, like any business, you need great leadership and you need to know your numbers. Like that's the one thing that'll make them work. And that's the one principle that you can apply to any business beyond restaurants. And like you said before, like I'm just very passionate about restaurants and I don't, it's not enough for me for the restaurant that I work for to just make it work.
So do you think when you do and sit down and do the numbers, because that's the stuff that you're good with, and you're sitting down with a new client of yours and you're talking through them, like what are some of the biggest sort of red flags that you identify that most people miss when it comes to the numbers?
The goals. So there's certain goals. I mean, we're going to get really technical. I don't know if you're into that, but let it be.
I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious.
There's certain standards within the food industry that you kind of have to keep to. And a lot of people, again, it's like, oh, I have this great recipe from my grandmother. I want to open a restaurant. And it's like, that's the wrong approach, but okay, we'll make it work, right? So you have in restaurants what you call your primary costs. This is really technical. So your primary cost is basically when you add your labor cost, so your payroll cost, to your food cost, so your purchases. When you combine those two, that creates your primary cost. And in a nutshell, and this is like really simplifying it, unless your primary cost is below 60% of your overall cost, you don't have a business.
So it's like a 60% rule is kind of like the rule of thumb.
That's like the very basic primary number one.
Overall cost would be like your rent and like paying staff and all that stuff.
So no, paying staff is labor.
Okay.
That's your payroll. So that should never exceed 30% ever. And your food cost is basically the ingredients that you purchase. And that should never exceed 30%. So when you combine those two, that's called primary cost. And that primary cost should never be over 60%. Now, you get to play with that, right? Is my food cost up from 30%? Is it like 32, 33, 34? That means I can still make it work, but I have to kind of like squeeze my payroll down. Or I have a very high payroll, right? It's way above 30%. It's like 35. Okay, that means I have to drop my food cost to about 25%. So we're talking on the higher end of the margins, but that's basically your number one thing to look at when you're starting a restaurant or when you have a restaurant that kind of isn't doing great. Like those are the two numbers that you have to look at first, and you go from there.
Interesting. And then from like a marketing standpoint, if you have your numbers right, what is the game changer to get people in the door and then keep them there?
There we go. That's where your food and your service comes in. So one is managing the business and the other one is managing the restaurant. These are two different things that people confuse way too often. So ultimately, I think the best marketing that you're going to have is great food and great service. For example, at the bistro, we don't pay a dime on marketing ever. Nothing. Not a single dollar on like sponsored posts.
So people coming in does the marketing itself.
Dude.
I mean, seriously, you take those pictures of that stuff, that steak and eggs, your pancakes, man. Your pancakes probably so bad for me, and I freaking ate all of them.
But they're great for your soul.
They're good for your soul. Oh my God.
And that is all Chef Henry.
They were beautiful.
He's the creative mind and partner behind like the entire menu, and he's super talented. So all the things that you're talking about, like the steak and eggs and the pasito pancakes, like that all comes from his
and you also gave
head.
me an ample amount of syrup. Little thing.
Yeah.
But I hate when I just get this tiny thing of syrup. I had enough syrup to drown those cakes.
Yeah, man.
If I'm eating cakes, I want that syrup, yo.
And I think that's one of the keys of the bistro is that and it's not like maple syrup. Chef Henry comes up with it's like a brown butter maple syrup. Like nothing is just that one thing, right? It's like if you get an avocado toast, it's not like bread and avocado. He puts his magic touch on like everything. And there's no detail that is left unattended anywhere. Like not on the food, not in the kitchen, not in the service. I mean, come on, we have days and days, right? There's days where we screw up. Like it happens, right? Like something can happen. But it happened like for the volume that this business does, we do, I think, a really, really good job. So I was doing numbers a couple of days ago just because I was like completely bored. It was like 10 p.m. and I was home. I was like, I wonder. So I started crunching some numbers of like how many covers we do per day and how many guests we take of, like on average, Monday through Friday plus Saturday, Sunday. So I come up with a crazy number. Mind you, this is 1,800 square feet restaurant. So it's quite small. And it turns out that we're on track 2021 to doing over 130,000 clients this year alone.
Wow.
And we used to have these lines, crazy lines, Saturday and Sunday for brunch. You know, back in the day, you know, we've always had that like little crowd, and then it started getting bigger and bigger. And now we have like 1 hour waits Monday through Sunday, like every single day.
Every day. Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, you have to go almost assuming it's going to be an hour. So just go early.
Yeah. go early. Or the other trick, which people don't like really pay attention to, is like go super late. Like if we stop serving brunch at 4, get there like at 3:30.
Really? That's the play, huh?
Yeah. So, now you know.
That is the wow.
Yeah,
that's
because
a game changer.
we still have like the full menu at 3:30, and you know we close the kitchen at 4. So if you sit there, you know, at 4, we will gladly take care of you, and you have like the entire selection. So that's what needs to be done for those trying to avoid the crowds.
Damn, right there. That's enough for everyone that needs to listen. That's enough golden nuggets right there.
Yeah, that's a lot. But yeah, ultimately, and back to your question, like there's no better marketing for you to do what you have to do the best. Did that come out right? I think so. Yeah. So, I mean, that's it. Like
I heard the croissants at BBistro are insane.
Again, it's Chef Henry and his crazy mind. It's quality, you know? It's like, I think that's.
Do you hang out with Chef Henry just like at his house and like you see him behind the scenes?
With Chef Henry, like we talk all day, every day. He's not there often because he has like a lot of other things going on. He opened like BBito's Cafe in Miami Beach. He's opening another restaurant in Wynwood.
But he's constantly just his mind's running around like crazy. Like, let's try this. Let's do this.
I have to stop him sometimes. And like the few times that we've argued has with me kind of slowing his creativity down. He's like, we need to do this and we should do this. And I was like, Chef, calm down. It's like, we need to like standardize things.
You always call him Chef.
I'm sorry?
You always call Chef Henry
I always
Chef.
call him Chef. Yeah. It's just a matter of respect, I guess.
That's awesome. I love that.
And I've known him for years. So he created this awesome restaurant, partners with Patricia and Mark, who are the two other partners. And how are we getting into this? I don't know, but we had this conversation before.
Yeah.
So they wanted to really like standardize operations and grow. And I had met Chef Henry before, and we tried to work together before. It wasn't possible because I was still working for Dunkin' Donuts back then. Like supervising like a bunch of places and whatnot. And then I was working for Waldorf Astoria. This is my career. Like I've been
as you're the up and up, up and up,
and like doing my thing in like these big companies. And one day, we just connect again with Chef, and he's like, "Hey, like I have like the opportunity for you to come in now, to help me run the business. Like, are you interested?" It's like, absolutely. And
it's cool when you make a connection with somebody, you stay close with that person,
and that's exactly what happened.
And then eventually the universe lets you know when it's time.
That's exactly what happened, because, mind you, this was years ago. Like I met him, I was gonna jump on board the bistro very early, like pre-opening. It was still under construction. Things didn't work out for whatever, and 2 or 3 years later, just out of the blue, we kind of always kept in touch. Like, how are you? We would just check on each other. We like, we care. We always clicked. And then shit happened. Like you just said it. And it was like kind of meant to be. And he's like, can you come now? And I was like, actually, I can. I was living in Key West because that's where I managed like the Duncans, like South Miami all the way to Key West. And I was in Key West, and I was like, all right, it's time to go back to Miami. I love the islands, but it's been a minute. Like, time to go back to the city. And when that thought was just popping in my head, is like when he reached out. So it was like, perfect. And that was 4 years ago.
That's awesome. It's just it's a great lesson in connections and friendships and all these things. And everyone listening right now should think about who in your life is a connection that you very much just admire or cherish, and make sure that you're watering it, because I saw this quote the other day. It's like if you I think it was Buddha that said it, and he was trying to describe love, right? Ooh. If you like something, like if you like a flower, you'll pluck it. You'll pluck it, whatever. Yeah. If you love a flower, you'll water it every day.
Yeah.
Think about your relationships. Are you watering those relationships, or is that just some flower that's chilling out there? Yeah. Like I try to do that because we get so caught up in life and there's never enough time to do anything, but it's like, use this as a reminder, like who in your life do you admire? Yeah. And not even just to be selfish, but one day if you do good things and you do good for the world, that's just like our attitude. Yeah. Good things come back, and people want to do business with good people that they trust.
Yeah. Yeah. But I would venture to say that ultimately it all comes down to that, to trust, right? But on your note, I agree. It's like, and you said something that really touches my heart, because it's true. And I've always had this idea when I was a kid, and I still have it today, that I've always wanted to change the world. Like, how I know it sounds kind of crazy, but as I grew, I kind of understood that I can within my capacity. And what I've learned throughout the years is that, again, this is a very personal thing. This isn't for everyone, right? But what I learned is that I can change the world in only one way, and it's through private business. This is a very me thing.
This is the purpose behind your business.
This is like how.
You need a purpose.
You need a purpose. My purpose is to change the world, to contribute, right? And for what I've learned, or life has, taught me, is that you do that through business. Mm-hmm. And within business, I have this passion for food and service. Like, I adore serving people, and making myself useful to them with whatever capacity I have to. Like, it genuinely makes me happy to serve other people. So
acts of service is definitely one of your top 2 love languages.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. You know what we're talking about. And so I learned, okay, I can change the world. How can I do it best? And for me, what worked was through private business. And within private business, I've always loved restaurants because of one particular reason beyond the food, is that restaurants are one of the very few businesses that really grant access to a very broad range of humans that can make it to the top regardless of their background.
Hmm.
So if you go into banking, for example, just to like elaborate a little bit more, like you kind of need to speak English pretty much perfectly. You need to know, like, probably have to have a degree in like accounting or finance or something like that, right? And that's like the banking world. And, you know, you'll start as a cashier and
Work your way up.
work your way up. And like so many other businesses are just like, they just have that structure where this is like your minimal requirement, at least a degree in this or that, and then you go from there. But restaurants, because we're always just like so crazy and we're like always understaffed and we're always late and this and that, it's like, you want to work? And people are like, sure. I was like, okay, you're hired, and it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. It doesn't matter.
There's no bias. They don't care about your background. They don't care about your degree. They care about like, hey, do you want to work and you want to be part of a team?
That's it. Like all you need in the restaurant world is the willingness to do things. That's it. Doesn't matter. And Chef Johnny, who's our kitchen manager today at Brickell, for example, he's Venezuelan, spoke next to nothing of English when he started with us a few years back, and actually didn't know how to cook, but he needed a job. Fast forward 3 years, he's managing a multi-million-dollar kitchen. And he was a lawyer in Venezuela.
That's amazing.
And
these dudes must throw the most bomb holiday parties.
you have no idea. Like, it's crazy. It's insane. But that's my love for restaurants. Really, I think ultimately beyond the business and the food comes because restaurants just provide the opportunity for anyone to reach their maximum potential regardless of their background. No English, no problem, right? It's like no degree, no problemo. It's just like, it's the way restaurants are.
And you can learn the business and you can see it. It's all around you. And if you want to take the venture and start your own, it's all possible.
It is, with no previous requirements.
How has COVID changed your thought process when you come to managing these startups and people that are starting their own business? Like, do you think a little bit different with how you give advice, knowing that
No.
People can now?
I might be the only one to say that. It's like everyone else is like, it's going digital and this and that. It's like, yes, it is. But I just, there's just certain principles and values that I believe in that nothing will ever change. Like hard work,
Something I like
consistency, discipline, right? It's like love and passion and knowledge and wanting to learn more and how do I do better and you know, working clean and with a good heart. Like all these things never change. That's just pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID. It's like you need to be disciplined and loving and knowledgeable. It's like all these things are just like, everyone's like, ooh, how do you achieve success? It's like, it's not a secret. Like there's literally people telling you, like Gary Vee, they're like shouting in your face, like you need to fucking get your shit together and, you know, do what you need to do and do it with love. It's like, they're telling you. I'm telling you. I'm no one to tell you, but I'm telling you. and so that never changes. Now, how do we operate differently? It's like, not really. We came up with our like website and, you know, did our own delivery, but that helped just for a little bit. Now, you know, this shit's over. And again, we're left with what we had the entire time, which was passion and love and doing things with discipline and consistency and being persistent and just grinding and hustling. And that's also the nature of our business, right? It's just like a very hard, demanding business.
Yeah,
it's
like you demand excellence from each other.
We do. And
one loose tire and it slows it down.
And the core values, right? And just like really like never stop talking about them. Like I have group chats with our leaders at the restaurant today, like the kitchen manager, the bar manager, the pastry manager. Like there's a bunch of people, right? We grew from like 4 years ago, we had 14 employees. Today at that tiny little location, we have 40. So it's like almost 3.5 times the amount of employees.
Right.
And so you have all these different channels of communication and the one thing that these channels of communication are for is just solely to enforce what we already know.
To remember what we started.
Exactly. And we don't take shit for granted. Nothing. Like you go to the bistro today, which is like super successful. And we as a team will treat you like it's our first day. And that never changes. And I don't let it change. I really fight to like every day because it happens, right? You're doing good. You get a little bit too comfortable. And then it's not just like not being so great. And it's like, no. And that's just something that's in me. Like I wake up early every morning, take a shower, go there. And I was like, all right, guys, let's go. Like, what are we going to do today? What are we doing today that's a little bit better than yesterday? And these are conversations that we have every day. It's like, don't forget that it is this person's first time. Might not be our first day, but it's his first time here. Like we want him to come back every day. And you can't force people to do that. You can't force someone to come back every day. You can only nurture that, right? And make it happen through like the passion of serving with love and authenticity and ultimately everyone wins because that's what's happening today. And that's the path. Like we did things so disciplined, so consistently, with so much love and vision throughout the past few years at BBistro that what I was telling you before, like we just signed our lease for another location in Coconut Grove, which is 3.5 times the size of the one we have in Brickell. So that's going to be like another 70 employees, I calculate. So we went from 14 employees to over 100 in like 3.5 years. And the owners of the business are winning, right? It's like the managers of the business are winning. The base core employees of the restaurant are winning because all these, our base team today are our leaders tomorrow. And that's true for today's bistro with like Johnny, for example, Chef Johnny in the kitchen, or Marianne, who's going to be the GM of Brickell. And she started out at the bar. Like everyone's growing. So it's like everyone wins. So that's why I love private business. And that's why I like making money, because it's not, making money isn't like the end. It's not the goal for me. It's just a tool that I can use to enhance the lives of other people. And that's my purpose, I think, here. And that's why I live so passionately. And that's why I do things with so much love, because I know I'm contributing at least a little bit to make the lives of all these people a little bit better. And that's through business. And that, for me, is through restaurants who grant this opportunity to everyone that wants it. So.
And some dank ass pancakes.
And steak and eggs.
Well said. If you could go back in time and everything, like, it's funny because before we started this, you're like, Ian, when I get a little bit reserved at first because like I'm like, it's weird with talking into these mics, and it is weird, like you're talking on a podcast with some like person in front of you. It's like you're being recorded. It's like, what's going on? But like you can just see you have just loosened up so much, and like you being in your mojo and in your flow is a beautiful thing because you can see the passion that's oozing from it. And if you're in that group chat, like that group chat's probably lit. Like you guys are probably firing each other up.
Shit goes down, bro. Like every day.
And laughing at the craziness, because craziness happens all the time, but being able to laugh at it is huge.
It's hard, you know what? And I just got that a couple of days ago from this lady that I just told you about, Marianne, who's going to be managing this multi-million-dollar restaurant very soon. And I've been grooming her for a minute, like literally 2.5 years. And because that's how much confidence I had in this happening. So when she's like, you're going to be this person like 2.5 years from now. And she's like, oh my God, that's so far away. And it's like, no, it's not. And it's happening today. But we had this like huge issue at the restaurant and whatnot. And I was just like, okay, cool. And she's like panicking, right? And she's like, we're all gonna die. And like, we need to fix this. And then this other guy comes, like one of the other managers, and everyone's like panicking. And I'm just like in a little table in the corner outside, far from everyone's my cigarette. You know, it's like I was like on my computer. You know, it was kind of
like, hey, you guys done? Or are we gonna figure this out?
And everyone comes, and she comes running. And is like, why are you so calm? Like, what? It's like, what what do we do? I was like, well, like that, you're not going to do anything. It's like, you need to sit down, like calm down, have some water, and let's think it through. It's like, whatever it is, like, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, what is the worst possible scenario? That, like, we have to close a restaurant one day for, like, in 10 years? Like, really? And that really was the worst case scenario. And I was like, what's the problem? It's like, calm down. It's like, we'll figure it out.
Perspective.
So,
Yeah.
it is perspective. And I think also that comes with a little bit of experience. Like, I've been doing this for like a decade, right? I'm 33 and I started when I was like super young in the restaurant world. Man, that's not true. It's more than a decade. I'm 33 and I started when I was like 20. So it's been like a few years of me doing this. But yeah, it's like, just calm down. We'll figure it out. You have to be smart about things like that. Like, whatever it is that you're doing, like, you're not going to solve anything. I've never seen anyone in full panic mode solving anything. I mean this. Like, I've never seen like someone panicking solving anything.
Well, the one time like I like ran my scooter into somebody was because I was rushing, because I was panicking, because I was late.
Yeah. And that kind of made it worse.
Because when you panic, you're like, wait, where's everything? Oh, wait. And like you gotta chill, especially like if you're driving a vehicle. Chill. Like, don't ever get behind the vehicle when you're panicking.
Yeah, and don't do anything where you're panicking.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing you need to focus on when you're panicking is like not panic. Like, that's the one thing you need to do.
Yeah.
Is like, calm down. It's like, really, what's the worst that could happen? Yeah. We create these scenarios in our head sometimes that are so terrible, and that 99% of the time just never happen.
We're so mean to ourselves.
We put ourselves through like hell and misery for no reason. And, you know, being in panic mode and feeling like you're doing something while you're panicking, like, you know, just doing stuff, like, it just doesn't solve anything. It's like, stop. Don't panic. Like, that's the one thing you need to do when you're panicking. Stop panicking and think things through. But obviously, it's a restaurant industry. We go at a million miles per hour every day.
Right. And then you have people sitting there like just Karens looking at you like, we're, you know. So you have true pressure on you.
We are blessed enough that the absolute vast majority of our customers and our guests are not Karens. So, you know, we're very blessed with the
shout out Miami. Miami's got a great crowd.
Hey man, I'm telling you.
Love the people here, man.
It's just, it was like, there's like, this wasn't to my liking, right? Any other restaurant would have been like, take this out. I was like, what is this? And everyone here is just like, it's all good, man. It's like, let's fix it.
Yeah.
But, and you know what? That gives me something. Restaurants are the type of business, are probably the business where the most amount of things could potentially and possibly go wrong per day.
I could see that.
There's a lot of people that don't take into account the amount of stuff that goes behind scenes beyond the kitchen.
And losing one person in the, because I worked as a lot like a sous chef, or not a sous chef, the dude that like connects the kitchen staff with the waiters. I was like really young.
Okay.
I knew
Are you
nothing
looking for a job? No. Like, we're so hiring right now.
I knew nothing about food. I didn't know the difference between blue cheese and ranch, and that they ripped me apart, man.
Yeah. And well, stuff like that happens, yes, but that's lack of proper training. That's on them. That's not on you, just so you know. So keep your head up. But people think, when we in hospitality say there's a lot going on behind, people only assume, yeah, they're cooking. Yeah, that's a part that you kind of don't see. But that's not what we mean. What we mean is, like, the printer in the kitchen just ran out of ink. We're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like the cooks are here, right? We have food. The printer's not working.
Right.
We have 7 printers. That one is not working. We're fucked, right? It's like internet's down. Oh, the guest is like, your Wi-Fi isn't working. And we're like, oh, I'm sorry. What really is happening is that the orders from the servers, from their little like mobile things that they place orders now, their mobile POSs, what that really means for us is that those tickets aren't getting to the kitchen, right? It's like There's a million tiny.
And then people just, and then when you're sitting on the other side of that mobile phone, you're like, what's going on? You're getting angry. You're calling. It's a nightmare.
It's like a million things can go wrong. Gas.
So like
they shut the gas by accident. And this literally happened to us a few months ago. I'm not going to go into details to give other names, but they were cutting the gas of a very nearby restaurant. And by accident, they shut ours off. Saturday morning.
No way.
Brunch.
Brunch is fire at BBistro.
And I was like, there's like 300 people here, and we have a line of like 400 people, right? It's like we're gonna like 600 covers today, and there's no gas, so we can't cook. Like, what fault do I have? Right? It's like I didn't do anything wrong. It's like I pay my bills on time. Like we do our part. We have the food, we have the cooks, and just shit like that happens.
Shit like that happens.
And there's nothing we can do. And just the amount of things that can go wrong at a restaurant are
I can imagine that
crazy.
like the just staff all being plugged into it helps things move better.
Yes.
Because it's like a well-oiled machine. If like
Yes, it is. And well, you've been there.
It's amazing.
Without bias, right?
Yeah.
Not because like you knew me or you just happened to
The
land
second
there.
time I came because it was so good the first time.
Right, but as just like a guest, like I didn't.
Yeah, we didn't know
I
each
didn't
other.
pull you in. I
No,
didn't
no,
send
no.
you a DM like, hey, like free food on us. Like we didn't like officially meet. We kind of had an idea who we were, but not really. And that's what we're aiming for because it's
Well, this is the first time
whole
too I've
thing.
just like had even someone on the guest that does restaurants and stuff like this because I was so floored by my experience there.
Aw, I'm blushing. But that's the plan. That's literally the plan. It's like do things so right, that they can't help themselves but to come back. And Miami has been known for a very long time, although again, I do think that's substantially changed, particularly in the last couple of years where like service wasn't great. And I just can't see that's true anymore. Not every place is great. You know, you have good and bad everywhere. But I just think the standard of service in Miami has been increasing substantially in the types of food. And I think we're going like full circle now back to what we were talking at the beginning. And it's really hard to get me away talking about like restaurants. But that's the goal. Like do things so the Ians of the world can come back to the restaurant without being pushed to the restaurant. Like no one asked you to go a second time. Alicia's she suggested
The first time, right?
and thank you, Alicia. But you came back a second, and that's thank you, team.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you. That coffee, man. That coffee hits
It's
it differently.
so good, that coffee.
Coffee hits
It's
the-
actually Italian. It's from the southern part of Italy. It's a very like small batch. It is commercial, obviously. They're shipping from Italy, right? But it's a very like dark roast southern Italian coffee called Kimbo. I'm not getting paid for this. I will send a check. They should send a check. But it's great coffee, and that's what we really try to do in this business that I manage, which is just we really try hard for everything to be amazing, everything to be
Unique,
different
yeah.
and unique and authentic, and obviously Henry did a great job with the menu, and the rest of the team did a great part with the coffees and the drinks, and we don't have a liquor license, so we had to get creative.
There's two different types of liquor license, right?
So yeah, you have the beer and wine,
Yeah.
which is like $2,000 and anyone can get, and then you have the liquor license, which is crazy expensive.
Is it like $250,000 or something?
Yeah, about, unless you meet like certain other requirements, but yes, in a nutshell, it's $250,000, which we just don't need it. But we're a brunch spot. We wanted like Bloody Marys and this and that. So we got our beer and wine license, and sake is wine. It's rice wine. So we do sake-based cocktails. So you get to enjoy a Bloody Mary without the vodka, but it's a sake base, so we call it the Bloody Geisha Mary. And we don't hide it. We're like very open about it. We're like very proud that we're pulling off cocktails with, a rice wine based drink. So, and you have to get, and it just all ties together and ultimately comes back to the center of our conversation, which I think is passion. Like, we just really wanted to offer more than mimosas and coffee.
Right.
And someone came up with the idea of doing this with sake. And now we have like mojitos and margaritas and pina coladas and all these stuff. And it's all sake based. And people, some of them can't tell. And some of them actually enjoy it more than like the original versions. So it's just like cool, it's like, it's just like, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Well, if you could bring this all back and you could tell yourself back when you were 20 and now all the managing 100 plus 40 plus employees and building this business and we were talking about some side ventures and stuff that you're working on, you're always hustling and moving. What is maybe 1, 2, or 3 things that you could have told yourself that could have saved you? Like, imagine like you see yourself, you're like, listen, homie, I got like 1 minute, what's good? And like you just say a few things and you're like, look at me.
Buy Bitcoin.
Look at me at 33. Besides Bitcoin.
I would have totally like at 20, it's like, buy Bitcoin.
And obviously the answer can't be I wouldn't have told myself anything because it made me who I am. Because it's just a lame answer, even though it's a good one.
It is. It could be authentic.
What are some
people?
What are some things you would tell yourself?
What would I tell myself? I would tell myself to shit. That's a tough one, man. You got me like really going full blown introspection right now. I would think to be more compassionate. Because I've learned throughout the years that compassion, if managed well, leads to empathy. And I've also learned that empathy gives you perspective and vision. Once you have like the full perspective, then you can develop a full vision. And when you're younger, you're a little bit of a dick and you think you know everything. And I remember a couple of times clearly, I apologize the way I am and I was raised, but I would have still rather, not talk to someone like this certain way or not say certain things. So to the younger me, I would have instilled like more love, more compassion, and more empathy. What else? Did I already say Bitcoin? I did. Did I? Okay.
Buy the dip.
Okay, buy the dip. What else? That was one thing. The other thing I think that I would tell my younger self was study more, like learn more. There was a period in my life in my like very early 20s where I got like a really nice job at a restaurant back in Bolivia. It was like, like the restaurant, and I was like the operation kid because I was just like, I kind of knew my stuff, and I got hired like in a good position at the city's like best restaurant, and I was like, I thought it was a shit, right? So there was like a few years from like 21 to like 22, 23 that I thought I knew fucking everything. And I guess that comes with that age, right? I would assume. I can't get over sometimes the fact that I wasted 2 years of my life like not learning more.
Just being stuck in your own head and just thinking you're the shit and living in ego and like living in a different world.
Feeling in the best restaurant in this like third world country, like so young, in a good position, calling the shots, right? It can't get better than that, right? But then you look back and you're like, what a little piece of shit you were. Right? Like, I would have whooped my own ass if I go back there. I was like, what are you doing? Like, get the fuck out of your head, man. So that, and
the gift of perspective there is huge.
Yeah, I think that, and if there would be a third thing, I would just remind myself to be careful with with what I do. And I think that applies to me 13 years ago, and that applies to me yesterday, and 2 months ago, and today. Like, actions have consequences, man. They do. And I try to be, because of a recent lesson, very recent lesson, or I like really fucked up. I lost a lot, and because of my own mistake, because I just wasn't aware of the consequences of what I was doing. And that was a really huge pill to swallow when you fuck up, and, then that sense of guilt.
Right.
So I would tell myself that every day from back then till today. It's like, just be cautious, be careful with what you do. You can hurt people, right? Just be mindful. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Just be mindful of what you're doing. There's, consequences to every action. And that's my third reminder to myself.
I love it, man. That's deep stuff.
It is.
That's the recipe right there for a damn good day, baby.
So yeah, that was too deep, right? We went from like, ooh, Miami. Ooh.
I wouldn't say that was too deep. That was proper.
Like, well, you asked the question. I can't lie.
That's how it should be, man. Like, that's how life should be.
Yeah. But we went from like Miami, yeah, we're the shit.
I told you it's like this.
We don't really have like, oh no.
Yeah. I shouldn't have done it, man.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done it. I should have done it, but still a damn good day.
Look in the back.
But yeah.
True.
But again, I think like that answer in that moment, it really comes from passion too. It's like, it's just who I am.
Well, speaking from the heart makes people realize that you're real, and that we're all just a bunch of, humans running around in the middle of time and space, in the middle of nowhere. We don't know anything about anything, really.
We don't know.
But if we can enjoy
about anything,
if we can enjoy a moment together, and that's why I love like dinner parties, and I can't wait to invite you to my barbecues and dinner parties.
Absolutely.
But like, if we can enjoy just a moment together, break bread with somebody in a restaurant, smoking a cigar, and you can just have that one-on-one quality time with another human soul, and you can just like, you just feel the, not the energy, but just relatability. I think that's one of the best things about being alive.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's that. It's moments.
Moments.
That's what life is. It's just a
collection of moments.
Bunch of moments that we collect throughout the way, and some are good, some are bad, and hopefully.
And they tend to never be what we thought they were.
And
both good and bad.
Both good and bad. Absolutely right. And hopefully, when it's time to go, it's more good than bad, and that's the game of life.
Plan for the future, but live today, baby.
Yeah, that's it. I agree 100%. That's the way to go.
That's it, man. I think we got to end the episode on that. That's it.
Why not?
Why not?
I think it's a great ending. And I said this off camera, but I will say on camera and on record. I am a declared fan of the Damn Good Day Show and of you. It's cool. It excites me to see people that make me feel like I'm not the only crazy optimist in the world. It feels lonely in the world of optimism sometimes. You're like, I'm always like hustling and smiling and doing, and then I look around and there's sometimes a lot of people that are just not as happy. And then you people like you come up and cross paths, and has an entire Instagram page and podcast dedicated to showing the happies of the world, and gives us strength to, continue our path. And I can't thank you enough for that. Because I told you, I met you, I followed your page, and immediately I started like scrolling and looking at the people you're interviewing, and it's sometimes we need those little pushes to like, let's go, come on, we can do it. And you do that. And I don't know that you get thanked enough for what you do. So from the bottom of my heart, I really honestly thank you for what you do.
I appreciate you, man. How can the people follow you if they want to get more Dan in their life?
I don't know. You know what?
I think they should follow you on Instagram. Yeah, it's RUCHOR, Rucor.
Yes, that's what it is. I just wanted to check. I wasn't 100% here. So it's what at RUCHOR.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And then also check out Miami Times.
They absolutely have to follow Miami Times, and they must follow the company that I work for. That's BBistro Miami, which is the shit.
So it's the shit. If you're coming down to Miami, that's like a fire brunch spot. Did we ever mention that restaurant today?
I don't think so. Or Bitcoin. I don't remember.
Bitcoin and that,
no? So yeah, man. I just, you wanted to end on that really cool note, but I want to end on the coolest note, which is your show and you, and an honest thank you for what you do, man. It's like we need that optimism, and you bring it every day, and that has a lot of value.
It's a damn good day to have a damn good day, baby.
It is a damn good day to have a damn good day.